Okay, so you ready to dive into a new career today?
Absolutely.
Right. So this deep dive is taking us into the world of footwear CAD pattern makers.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah. And I have to say, I am so curious about this like blend of art and technology and like the precision that must be involved. It's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's interesting how this field has just exploded, in recent years. And it's just fascinating to see how shoemaking has been completely revolutionized by these digital tools.
Yeah, I bet. So no more like hand-drawn patterns and, like rulers and stuff like that. We're talking high-tech design from day one.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you're thinking a footwear CAD pattern maker. They're essentially like the architect of the shoe, right? But
Yeah.
instead of blueprints, they're working in this virtual world using computer-aided design or CAD systems. And they're taking those designer visions and translating them into these really intricate digital blueprints. And then those blueprints are what factories use to create all the shoes that we love.
Okay, so walk me through this. What does a typical day look like for a footwear CAD pattern maker? Are we talking like a solitary artist hunched over a computer, or is it a lot more collaborative than that?
It's definitely more collaborative, so they definitely need the technical skills, but communication is key. So often they're starting their day brainstorming with designers, understanding the aesthetic, the materials, who are we targeting with these shoes, all those important details that go into making a successful shoe design.
So it's like this creative huddle, but instead of playbooks, they're swapping, fabric swatches and design sketches.
Exactly. And then once they have that vision, that's when the CAD magic happens. So the pattern maker will start building the shoe piece by piece in the digital space. And we're not just talking about outlining the shape here. They're thinking about every single seam, every curve, how the materials are going to work together, how the shoe is going to feel on your foot.
Wow, there's like a surprising amount of engineering involved, it seems like,
Yeah.
maybe even a little bit of psychology. So where does that CAD part come in?
Yeah, so that CAD software is like their ultimate toolbox. It lets them have this level of precision that you just couldn't get with traditional methods. So you're zooming in on this shoe design at a millimeter level, you're adjusting stitch lines, and you can see how those changes are going to affect the whole structure of the shoe.
That's incredible. It's like having X-ray vision,
Yeah.
but for footwear. And speaking of details, our RoleCatcher career guide mentioned something called laying variants. What is that?
Ooh, that's where your Tetris skills come in handy.
Okay.
So think about it. You've got this big sheet of leather, right? And you've got all the different digital pattern pieces for the shoe, and laying variants mean that you're figuring out the absolute best way to arrange those pieces on the material. So you're using the CAD system, but it's like a very high stakes puzzle.
So it's all about minimizing waste and being efficient with all those like premium materials.
Exactly. It's good for the environment. It saves the company money. And honestly, there's a certain satisfaction that comes when you finally find that perfectly optimized layout. It's a small detail, but it's crucial for a successful and sustainable business.
That's fascinating. Okay, so we've got our digital pattern. It's optimized for maximum style, minimal waste. What happens next?
So then a sample shoe is produced, which I imagine is very nerve-wracking, but also really exciting if you're the designer.
For sure.
So if everything looks good, then the pattern maker will start the grading process.
Grading, is that like back in school hoping for an A plus?
Well, you definitely want to be precise. So essentially, grading means that you're creating all the different sizes of that perfect pattern. So, you've got your stylish size 7 shoe, but we got to make that translate to a size 6, a size 8, and so on. So it's all about consistency and fit across the board.
Wow, so there's a lot more math and geometry involved in this than people realize. It's not all just, creative flair and digital sketching.
Yeah, it's a really cool blend of the artistry and that analytical thinking.
Speaking of which, the source material that we were looking at hinted at some really cool advancements that are coming in the footwear world, like 3D printing and even virtual reality.
Right.
It feels like we're on the verge of a footwear revolution.
It's a very exciting time to be in this field, but even with all the technological advancements, there are still those very human pros and cons to consider with this career path.
That's a really good point.
hmm
So let's dive into those. What are some of the most appealing perks of being a footwear CAD pattern maker?
Well, this isn't like, your grandma's shoemaking industry anymore. This is a global market that is all about innovation and technology.
Right.
So skilled CAD pattern makers are in super high demand, not just here, but all over the world, from like Italy to China.
Wow. So we're talking like a passport-worthy career then.
Totally. And because like footwear trends are always changing, it's a field that really keeps you on your toes creatively.
Yeah.
You could be working on like high performance athletic shoes one day and then be diving into the world of like sustainable vegan leather designs the next.
That sounds really dynamic, like no 2 days are the same.
Hmm.
And what about the financial side of things? Is this a career path with good earning potential?
It definitely can be, especially as you get more experience and maybe start to specialize in a particular niche.
Oh, okay.
Like, remember those 3D printed shoes we were talking about before?
Yeah.
Someone needs to create the patterns for those, and those specialized skills are in super high demand.
That makes sense. It's all about supply and demand, right?
Right.
But let's be real. There are always two sides to every story. So what are some of the challenges that someone might encounter in this field?
Well, it can be a demanding job, especially when those deadlines are looming and fashion moves fast. So meeting those tight turnaround times can mean some long hours.
So you need to be someone who thrives under pressure and can, like, manage their time really well.
Exactly. And because technology is always evolving, continuous learning is key. So new software updates, design innovations, a footwear CAD pattern maker needs to be adaptable and always ready to learn new things.
It's that growth mindset that's like so valuable in any career these days.
Yeah, totally.
So you've got the drive, you've got that creative spark, and you're not afraid to put in the work. How do you actually become a footwear CAD pattern maker? What kind of education or skills are we talking?
Well, a strong foundation in CAD software is essential, but it's not just about being good with the software.
Right.
You need to understand footwear construction materials, and even a little bit of ergonomics is important.
So it's like being a digital cobbler. You need to know how it all fits together.
I like that analogy a lot. A degree in footwear design or something related like industrial design or even engineering can be really helpful, but some people get into this field with a background in traditional shoemaking and then they make that transition to the digital world. It really depends on your own personal learning style and what your career goals are.
So multiple pathways into this field, which is great. Let's say someone's fresh out of school, they've got their portfolio ready to go. What might their career progression look like?
It usually starts with an internship or an entry-level position where you're assisting more experienced pattern makers, and that's where you'll learn the ropes, get familiar with the industry standard software, and really start building that design portfolio.
Yeah, those early experiences are so valuable for building confidence and like making those connections. What comes after that?
So as you gain more experience and your skills get even better, you might move into a role with more independence. Maybe you're designing patterns for specific parts of the shoe, or you're even collaborating on entire collections.
So you really start to see your vision come to life from those first sketches to the final product. That's so cool.
It's really rewarding to see a shoe that you helped design on someone's feet.
Yeah.
And then from there, you might decide to specialize in a certain kind of footwear or even move into like a management position where you're overseeing a team of pattern makers.
Wow. So you're like a leader in the field, shaping trends and like inspiring the next generation.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about actually landing that dream job
Yeah.
in this very competitive footwear world. And this is where I know you are a huge fan of RoleCatcher.
Huge fan.
How can this platform help aspiring footwear CAD pattern makers really stand out?
RoleCatcher is a game changer, honestly, especially with today's digital job market.
Yeah?
First, their RoleCatcher.capture plugin is amazing.
Okay, remind us what that one does, because I can already picture myself with like a million tabs open, copying and pasting job descriptions.
I've been there, but with this plugin, you can save all those good-looking job postings from any website right to your RoleCatcher account with a single click.
Oh, wow.
No more lost applications or missed deadlines.
Organization is key, especially when you're juggling multiple things.
For sure.
What else does RoleCatcher offer that would be really relevant in this field?
Their interview prep tools are seriously the best.
Okay.
They have this huge database of interview questions that are tailored to specific careers, including footwear CAD pattern making.
Oh, nice.
So you're not just getting generic advice, you're practicing with questions that are related to the actual software. You'll be using the challenges of footwear design and all the latest industry trends.
So it's like having a sneak peek into the interviewer's mind. You can think about the questions beforehand and really craft good answers that highlight your specific skills.
Exactly. And for anyone who gets nervous during interviews, which is like most of us.
Oh, 100%. Me too. No matter how prepared I am,
Yeah.
I still get those pre-interview jitters.
They have this amazing feature called video practice. And you can actually record yourself answering interview questions.
What?
It's like having your own personal space to rehearse. You can refine your answers, work on your body language, build that confidence.
You can literally watch yourself back, see those nervous habits, and like fine-tune everything.
Exactly. And it gets even cooler. They have AI video feedback that analyzes your recordings and gives you personalized insights. It might notice things you don't even realize you're doing. Like, are you talking too fast when you're nervous, or are you forgetting to smile?
It's like a digital mirror, but way more helpful.
Right.
I love how technology is being used to make job searching a little less scary. So RoleCatcher can help you find those opportunities, prepare for those interviews, and just put your best foot forward.
Sure.
But what about those other aspects of career success, like networking and staying ahead of the curve? Does RoleCatcher have resources for that too?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They have a whole career compass section with tons of articles and tips and even networking opportunities just to help you stay ahead of the game. They
Nice.
even have some features that'll connect you with people who are already working in footwear,
Oh, cool.
which is amazing for advice and building your network.
Yeah, for sure. Mentors are so valuable. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like having this one-stop shop for all things career-related, but it's all tailored to this really specific field of footwear, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This whole deep dive has really opened my eyes to the world of footwear design. It's so much more than I ever realized.
It really is like a hidden gem of a career.
Yeah, and speaking of like hidden gems and innovation,
Right.
let's circle back to those advancements that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
We talked about 3D printing. What are some of the other ways that you see technology like changing the future of footwear?
Sustainability, 100%.
Oh, interesting.
Because as people are, becoming more aware of the environment, the demand for eco-friendly materials and processes is just going to keep growing.
Right. Thanks.
We're already seeing cool innovations like mushroom leather and recycled ocean plastic
Wow.
being used in shoes, which is amazing.
That's so cool. It's like fashion meets environmentalism in like the best way possible.
Yeah, and the role of a footwear CAD pattern maker is evolving too to keep up with all this.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, imagine designing a shoe that's not only stylish and comfortable, but also biodegradable or made from recycled materials. That's such an impactful career.
Yeah, 100%. It's about so much more than just aesthetics. It's about ethics and sustainability,
Hmm.
which is amazing. Okay, so for anyone listening who's feeling super inspired right now, who's ready to kind of blend their artistic side with their love of technology and maybe even help to shape a more sustainable future for footwear, what's one piece of advice you'd give them to get started?
Don't be afraid to just experiment and get your hands dirty, or I guess digitally dirty in this case.
Yeah.
Download some free CAD software, try to design your dream shoe, reach out to people who are already doing this for a living. Just really immerse yourself in that world and see where it takes you.
I love that advice. Embrace that curiosity to experiment.
Right.
And don't be afraid to just go for it. Well, this deep dive has been incredible. We went from the design studio to the factory floor and beyond, learned about the super important role that Footwear Cad pattern makers play in creating all those amazing shoes that we love and how technology is shaping the future of this really dynamic field.
Great. It's a cool field.
A huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise with us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we want to hear from you. What other career paths, industries, or big ideas are you totally fascinated by? Let us know, because maybe your suggestion will be our next deep dive. Until then, keep those minds curious and those shoes laced up for adventure.